Well, here in the studio for some analysis is Raphael Bossong. He's an anti-terror expert from the think tank, the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Thank you for coming in to DW News this morning, Raphael. Now, the German police are treating this as a terrorist attack. Does it look that way to you?
Well, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, 3 explosive devices, including shrapnel. I mean, I couldn't see any other interpretation than that.
Okay, when we say terrorist attack, then, it's not just targeting the individuals who are sitting in the bus, but it's meant to spread fear within the population.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is the very definition of terrorism, that you're sending a political message to different audiences. And this is, of course, a very publicized location and very kind of dearly cherished team. So that's the kind of intention. The question is, of course, who would send this message for what purpose? And that's where everybody is wondering at the moment. A
lot of speculation in that direction. Now, assuming this was an IS terrorist attack, this Islamic State, some are attributing it to the Islamic State, it doesn't really follow the same pattern that we've seen in the past where the public at large was targeted or very large events. Why would the Islamists be targeting a sports team?
Well, the expert discussion is exactly about this, whether this claim of this letter or the 3 letters, identical letters that were found is actually true. In a way, it's a very old-style approach of doing it, rather targeting prominent people rather than general population and making specific political demands. I mean, and with letters rather than online kind of claims of responsibility. So in a way, it feels more like terrorism of the 70s and 80s than of the 2010s.
Could you just explain to us some of the details that have been released through the media about the letters? Again, these are unconfirmed, but we know that the Süddeutsche Zeitung, for example, has released some details. And just tell us what media is.
Yeah, so the letter is written in German, and it's like a strange mixture of correct German and some grammatical mistakes. So people are wondering, was it really a German writing it or a German pretending that is maybe a foreigner with deliberate mistakes? So that's one issue people are wondering. And then the language is a bit different to the standard IS declarations, various nuances, how it's phrased, how the caliphate is referred to. So people are really not sure that's truly a letter from the original organization or from people who are close to the normal membership.
So that's the style of the letter. But in terms of content, there is a mentioning in the letter, if I recall correctly, about prominent figures being targeted, even sports figures.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, I mean, it refers to all prominent people in Germany and including sports people. I mean, that is somewhat new, but in principle, that's not a new strategy to terrorism as such to target prominent people. But yes, soccer teams, to my knowledge, haven't been deliberate targets of terrorism before. I mean, the one other thing I mentioned before, what is also picking up notice is that here are specific demands, like the closure of the airbase in Ramstein, and that hasn't been done in previous IS letters. So it's not a reason to say that it's unconditionally not an IS letter, but it's a different style. So it might be somebody inspired and using different means and methods than in the past.
Means and methods. It was a very sophisticated attack. It was planned in advance. There were 3 bombs detonated apparently simultaneously at a very specific time, detonated remotely, it would seem. What does this level of sophistication and planning tell you about the people who carried it out?
Well, that again, in a way, points to an IS connection or people who might have come from theaters of war, actually. So in a way where people would be having experience with IEDs and this kind of more sophisticated targeted attack like we would do on a Humvee in Iraq, say, for example. So that's one of the reasons why that line of investigation and an Iraqi national was arrested is somewhat credible, but by no means can we say this is confirmed or more than that, than circumstantial evidence.
Raphael, thank you so much. Raphael Bossong from the German Institute for International and Security Affairs.
Thank you.
Friend.